Welcome to Make It Rain with Adam Schein on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Oh, yes, Tuesday edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein here on VSiN. And my goodness, we've got an unbelievable show for you today. There's so much going on in the world of sports, so much going on in sports betting. We have some great plays for you tonight on Major League Baseball. Florida, -1 last night. Hey, we hit it. Never a doubt, right? Never a doubt. We're going to get into the NFL draft. We have some props that we're going to get into in terms of the number 2 pick, the number 3 pick, where Shedeur Sanders is ultimately going to fall. We have a lot to get into with a Masters preview. We have a lot to get into with an NBA preview. Florida won a championship last night. Florida -1. We did it. I figured that was going to be the way we were going to start today's sizzling edition of Make It Rain with Adam Schein. And we'll get to that in a second. But wow, my goodness, we have some monster, major breaking news in the world of sports. And this happened an hour and a half ago, and I'm still rocked by it. My goodness, the Denver Nuggets have fired their head coach, Michael Malone. The Denver Nuggets have fired their head coach, Michael Malone. How about that? Their general manager, Calvin Booth, gone as well. Those two gentlemen did not get along in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, something has been off and amiss here with the Denver Nuggets when you take a look at how they've been playing in the second half of the season. They have not played like a championship contender. They are wasting a top 12 all-time player, if not more than that, in Nikola Jokic, who's playing at a legendary level. I have him number 2 for the MVP. A lot of smart people have him number 1. I don't, but obviously you should be talking about the Nuggets with Jokic having a chance to win another championship. But, you know, with Booth and Malone, there was always that divide in terms of, you know, playing the young guys versus trying to win. Ownership was not willing to go to the max and beyond in terms of contracts. We've seen Brown leave. We've seen KCP leave. And frankly, the last couple of years have been a waste. And, you know, right now, the odds to win the Western Conference are plus 800. And that's no good. That's unacceptable from a standpoint here when you look at it of the Denver Nuggets. And championship odds are 18-1. And take a look at this, right? When you analyze the Western Conference standings up to the second, the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, they're 17.5 games out of first. They trail the Houston Rockets by 5 games. Like, there are certain numbers that really just slam home how they are wasting Jokic and his genius and his domination. Not to mention, before the All-Star break, this team was 36-19, averaging 122 points per game. After the All-Star break, they are under 500. 11-13. The scoring is down to 118 points per game. They're currently on a losing streak here of 4 games. We ranted on this yesterday. Lost to the Pacers. We saw what happened against Golden State. And listen, I'm a huge Michael Malone fan. 10 years, won a championship, delivered Denver its first championship. But, you know, he can certainly be a guy who you could see being a bit prickly and wearing out his welcome. And I'm a huge Michael Malone fan. But, you know, obviously he did not play nice in the sandbox. I am not surprised that either Booth or Malone got fired. I am stunned. You could have knocked me over with a feather when our friend Sham Charania reported this news. I am genuinely floored here. Genuinely floored that it happened now. I mean, we have 6 days left in the regular season. You have the Nuggets clinging to that 4th spot, just a half game ahead of the Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves, and Grizzlies, who are all tied at 46-32. The Denver Nuggets are dangerously close to the play-in, which is completely unacceptable. Now, I do think, and our friend Om Yomasuk, who does a great job covering the NBA for ESPN, he had a great nugget that Denver made this move. And the Kroenke family, which owns this team in addition to the LA Rams, they made this move now because they wanted to give the team a jolt. We mentioned this yesterday. there was that moment over the weekend where Jokic showed real negative emotion. He never shows emotion like that. Never, ever. So clearly, Nikola Jokic has been frustrated. Jamal Murray is, not always available health-wise and is not the player that he was when they won a championship. This team still has a lot of dudes. But look, we talked about it yesterday, right? I mean, even with the moments, since the LeBron injury, and he's back now, obviously, where the Lakers didn't play well, I viewed the Lakers as a bigger threat than Denver to win the Western Conference or to challenge OKC. So they make the move now to kind of light and ignite that fire, and it's a mess. I mean, this Denver situation. And look, ownership's got to take blame too. Tim Connolly's the guy who put this whole thing together in Denver, and he was the architect. He's responsible. Even though he wasn't there the year they won the championship, it was all his doing. He's the one who, drafted Jokic and Murray and, brought in Aaron Gordon, and then he went and took the VP job at Minnesota. But, Booth was never the guy. Booth and Malone were never really on the same page. Struggle between old and new, and ownership not spending to the limit, spending to the max. I mean, a lot of similarities here between Denver and Milwaukee. And I hate to say that because, we're looking at OKC in a small market who I think can win a championship. If you don't have the ownership that is willing to spend and try and win, and then win again, I mean, there are reasons to believe that teams like Milwaukee and teams like Denver, if they're not going to give the megastars what they need to function around them, it's never going to happen. So I'm not stunned that something happened. I am absolutely floored. I'll tell you what, though, and it's impossible to predict if you look at the Western Conference odds, who will eventually have the second. And I don't believe in Houston as a team that can big picture make a run. I think Lakers, Denver, whoever gets that 3 seed will be able to knock off the Rockets in the second round. I firmly believe that. You want to avoid the 4. You don't want to play OKC in round number 2. And heck, if you're Denver at this stage, I mean, you need to avoid the play-in, let's be honest here. And, there's a real shot you're not even going to get home court. I mean, look at where the Nuggets have dropped to. It's telling and it's remarkable. They're at plus 800. They employ Nikola Jokic. I mean, the fact that the Warriors are plus 550 and you have the Nuggets at plus 800 and Vegas is spot on with that tells you everything that you need to know. So I am not surprised that someone's out. I am floored that it happened now. I know that the team is obviously looking to rally the troops and have a jolt. And, obviously you saw the shenanigans with Westbrook down the stretch of that Minnesota game. I mean, a 4-game losing streak, under 500 since the All-Star break. So they had to do something because status quo was not working. Stunned that it's both the GM and the head coach. Floored that it's happening right before the start of the playoffs. Desperate times, though, call for desperate measures. And there is no way, if you are a backer and you had a ticket and you bet on Denver before the season started, no way you could believe that these Denver Nuggets are a team to beat when it comes to winning a championship. So the Denver Nuggets shocked the sports world this afternoon. Sham Charania from ESPN broke the story. And Michael Malone out as the head coach, fired 6 days before the end of the regular season. How about Florida basketball? Are you kidding me? That was unbelievable last night as the Florida Gators, they are able to win a championship and beat Houston. And this was wild. And we told you Florida last night. Never a doubt, baby. Never a doubt. We had it the whole way. Florida, -1. It was locked in. How about the fact that the Gators had the lead in this game for 1 minute and 3 seconds? Absolutely, positively crazy. And this is vintage Todd Golden and vintage Florida. What the Gators have done all year. They were down by 9 in the Elite 8 against Texas Tech with 2 minutes to go. UConn was outplaying them. Down by 9 against Auburn in the Final Four. And Florida, they did a great job coming back. And it was absolutely incredible. Clayton didn't score, Walter Clayton Jr. in the first half of this one, and then finally got on the board. He had those two big drives to the hole and the and ones to tie up the game. 7:50 mark, made it 48-48, and then made it 52-52. That was incredible. Hit his first three of the game at the 3:14 mark to tie it up at 60. Played phenomenal defense at the end. That was incredible. Good for Todd Golden, man. This guy's amazing as a coach. You've heard what Tim Welsh has had to say about him, blending ball and analytics when Coach Welsh has joined this year on Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Just incredible. Golden, the youngest coach to win a title since Jimmy V in '83. He's 39 years old. And, of course, you have the flip side of this one and, Houston down the stretch. I mean, the fact that they couldn't get a shot off at the end was just repulsive. Incomprehensible is the word that Kelvin Sampson used after the game. Look, Duke choked. Duke collapsed. I think that the optics, obviously, when you take a look at Houston, that was awful down the stretch of the game. Absolutely dreadful. Simply put, could not happen. I don't view this as a choke. I view this as a Florida comeback. But, of course, the optics of Cryer turning it over at 152. 4 straight possessions to finish the game. All 4 were turnovers. The fact that they were down 2, didn't get a shot off, I mean, that is gross. That is unacceptable. I mean, how about Sharp throwing it up to himself? I mean, he knew that if he touched it, would have been a travel, a double dribble. And Clayton, again, was in his face, in his grill, in his jock. Great defense. Absolutely sensational. But I disagreed with Charles Barkley post-game. I don't want to hear that they had to take a 3 and a 2. You can't do it. Fatigue, go to overtime. No! There was no reason why you had to settle for a 3. It was all there for Houston. They couldn't even get a shot off. What a tremendous job by Florida. Grit, toughness, they've been doing it all year.
Watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It's officially summer. The VSiN Summer Special is here. Best deal of the season. For just $59, get the full VSiN Pro access to everything we do from now through August 1st. That's 50% off the regular monthly price. From Augusta to the NFL Draft, MLB action, NBA, NHL playoffs to Kentucky Derby, VSiN Pro has you covered all summer long. Sign up now and get expert picks, including all our best bets for the Masters, exclusive betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, 24/7 video access on the VSiN Watch app, plus our Kentucky Derby betting guide and the NFL betting guide when it drops this summer. Give you a head start on the football season. Every sport, every edge, one price. Get full access now through August 1st for just $59. VSiN.com/subscribe. VSIN.com/subscribe. Welcome back. Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Joining us right now live on the Progressive guest line. You know him, you love him, you can't live without him. He joins us every single Tuesday. VSiN.com betting analyst, superstar, my guy, the great Zach Cohen. Z-Train, how are you?
I'm good. I should mention for the summer special, it covers like 6 or 7 of the massive tennis tournaments that I'll be writing up every day too.
I got to tell you, you make me such a better, but a better sports fan too. I mean, I now find tennis, I love watching tennis in general, but usually for me in the past, it's high-level tennis, it's majors. You have me finding everything when it comes to tennis. So that's the beauty of you, and you're fantastic at it. And listen, you got your hand dipped in everything. You're a betting expert when it comes to everything, especially basketball for us. And first and foremost, your reaction in general and from a betting perspective with the breaking news, Michael Malone out as the head coach of the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I'll say from a betting perspective, it's not going to change too much for me. I think that David Edelman, their associate head coach that's now going to be the head coach, is the person that is viewed as the one that kind of shaped this team offensively. And I think that defensively, the Nuggets have been a disaster all season long. So I think they figured, why not give Edelman a shot at trying to fix this the rest of the season, especially considering, Malone rubs people the wrong way. I believe I heard you saying that the segment before. I think he's a difficult person to work with. Booth, that firing, that made a lot of sense to me. Obviously, the timing of all of this is weird, but Booth did a really bad job kind of, in the draft and building a team around Nikola Jokic. I think that Malone was very vocal about not liking working with him. And I think that, some of the comments we've heard from Malone over the last few weeks have been kind of puzzling, just, calling the team out for, not listening in film sessions and things like that. It just sounded like he lost the locker room. So I think that they're going to have, a decent shot at doing whatever they were going to do before with Edelman in charge.
So let me agree with you, but also disagree slightly. And I hedged it a little in the beginning, and I want to bounce this off you. I think they now have, whatever it is, and we need to wait, it's going to be very matchup dependent. They will now have a better chance of winning series and rounds because you nailed it. Malone calling the team out, Jokic frustrated. They like Edelman a lot. I'm not picking Denver, don't misinterpret, to beat OKC. But I think now, whatever the matchup turns out to be, they will have a better shot to win in round one, round two, now that Michael Malone and Booth are both gone. If it was just one, maybe we're having a different discussion, players looking sideways. I am now fascinated. If we get, look, now I give them a better chance if they're matched up with Golden State, which is still possible in a 4-5. So that's one thing that I'm going to be looking at, Z-Train. Where do they finish? Do they avoid the play-in? Are they at home? Do they have a matchup as a 4 seed? And if I like the matchup, I'm going to be more inclined here to bet the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's all matchup based moving forward. I think it's the way it is for the rest of the Western Conference too. But I would agree that the energy in the locker room should be a little bit better after this, just because it did sound like he had lost them a little bit. I think that they'll kind of be a little bit energized to have Edelman calling the shots. And I think that it can't get much worse than what we've seen defensively. So I think it's probably only up from here. It's just, who are they going to play? Like you just mentioned, I think that the Warriors are a team that they can beat. I don't love them in any of the other matchups.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. And you said it. And I do like them in the other matchups, too. But we're on the same page. I actually think for Golden State, Denver, because of Jokic, almost sounds like Captain Obvious. But I think that's a tough matchup for the Warriors. So we're going to have to wait and see here. I mean, it's all jumbled. I mean, Denver could finish as high as the 3, as low as the 8. So we'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Now, we reference how congested it is when you look at the Western Conference, which is awesome as the season ends on Sunday. The Lakers destroyed the Thunder. And I watched that game. It was on NBA TV. And the Lakers played brilliantly. Doncic, incredible. Finney-Smith, Reeves, LeBron was solid. And OKC was trying. I don't want to, and I love OKC. I don't want to hear anyone say anything else. I watched that game. Now, it seems like everyone and their mother is on the injury report for the LA Lakers, and they got another game tonight, Lakers and Thunder in Oklahoma City. What was your reaction to Sunday, if anything, big picture? And do you have any plays on the ball game for tonight?
So big picture, I thought that the way that they guarded, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander without fouling him was incredible and something that we really haven't seen all season. So it'll be interesting to see how they do, tonight in this matchup. But I will say, the shooting in that game was insane. I think that they shot 55% from 3. The Thunder were down in the low 30s. That's something that I don't see, happening again here. I will be watching this closely if the Lakers have have a few guys from that injury report end up playing. It's a game that I'm going to want to check out just to see if there is anything to learn from that last game. I don't have anything tonight. If, everyone goes, I do think it's a lot of points, though. I think that, the Thunder were trying in that game. There's no denying that. They think, that's a team that plays hard every night, but there is lack of motivation when you have the 1 seed locked up. It's just something that you can't really, put away. The fact that you're not playing for anything at this point in the season. So I think that's something that's a little bit difficult for them. The Lakers are still very much, shuffling for position in the West.
We mentioned, obviously, how congested it is with 4 teams having the exact same record when you look at 5, 6, 7, and 8 in the Western Conference, which is wild and, amazing at the same time. Clippers and the Spurs. Obviously, this is a monster game for the LA Clippers. Can't have a hiccup going up against San Antonio. You have a play on this one tonight, Z-Train?
Yeah, so I think the Clippers are going to win the game. I'm not really worried about that, but I do think we're going to see Kawhi Leonard rest tonight. I haven't seen an updated injury report. I'm not sure if that's changed, but they are playing against Houston tomorrow, and most of the season, Leonard has sat out the front end of back-to-backs to play the second game. I think they're going to look at this one and say, we should win this game without Kawhi. Let's keep him tomorrow night for Houston. And that's why I think that there's some value in taking the Spurs, who have been awful lately, but have also been, solid against the spread. I believe they're 15-9 against the spread in their last 24 games or something like that. So this is a team that has been competitive. I think that they can avoid a blowout here. But like I said, I think the Clippers win the game.
You expect the Clippers to win. You expect the Grizzlies, they both have the same record, to get a dub. They've got the Hornets tonight in Charlotte. I have to imagine you're feeling pretty great about Memphis. And any plays on Ja Morant tonight?
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies will win. I'm nervous that they're going to win by too much because I have Ja Morant over 31.5 points and assists. This is something that I kind of decided, a few weeks ago that I'm going to be blindly taking the rest of the season with the new interim head coach there. They are running a lot more pick and rolls with Morant. His usage rate is up from 31% to around 35%. That was one of the reasons Jenkins got fired, is they had a system there that kind of empowered their role players and took the ball out of Morant's hands a little too much. They wanted to put the ball back in the hands of their best player. I think he's going to have a huge game here against the Hornets team that's not great defensively. Like I said, I'm just nervous it's going to be too big and they might need to, rest him in the fourth quarter, but I do like it.
Another one of these teams with the identical record, Golden State. We have the Warriors and the artist formerly known as the Phoenix Suns tonight. Z-Train, any plays?
I don't have anything here. I have a lean on the Warriors. Like, the Suns have just been lifeless, and they are putting everything in Devin Booker's hands, and they do not have any help outside of him. So if they can shut down, Booker, which is easier said than done, I do think that they have the bodies to do it. It's going to be really hard for Phoenix to score on this Golden State team that is tremendous defensively ever since Butler came.
Knicks haven't knocked off the Celtics or the Cavs all year. Injury report is heavy for Boston. Would be a big deal if my Knicks could get a win. Do they get it done?
I love the Knicks tonight. I think that the Celtics, even if everybody plays, I just think this is a spot where I just mentioned it with the Thunder. Boston is playing for absolutely nothing right now. New York still needs another win or two to hold off Indiana for the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, and they treat every game like a playoff game anyway. Thibodeau, obviously keeps these guys motivated every night. I think the Knicks come into this game with a lot more motivation. I think, we see another great game from OG Anunoby, who started to thrive with Brunson now.
Z-Train, you're the best. Love chopping it up with you. A blast and informative as always, my friend.
Thank you.
You're watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The Masters is here, and our partner, ProfitX, is offering the best odds all tournament long. ProfitX is a peer-to-peer sports exchange available in 40-plus states, first of its kind in the U.S. You're going to be able to make your sports picks against other groups of fans rather than against sports books. Exchanges guarantee the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download ProfitX today with the code VSiN. Earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month. Joining us right now live on the Progressive Guest Line, one of my favorites, Brian Katrek, of course, Emmy Award-winning broadcaster from SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio. I am a monster fan of his. He does an unbelievable job for us on SiriusXM. Brian, it's good to hear your voice, and we appreciate the time.
Adam, right back at you. Just as big a fan. I love being on with you guys. I wish I was any good at gambling at all, but I'm not. But that's okay.
But that's great because, listen, when it comes to talking golf and chopping it up, we're going to get a lot of information from you, and it's going to be great because your breakdown and your analysis and your educated opinions, I mean, it's why I've been such a fan of your work for so long. And look, let's start with this. No surprise, right? Scottie Scheffler is the favorite to win his third Masters, and, you know, he is a pretty heavy favorite, all things considered. What makes him so great when it comes to being able to execute at such a high level at Augusta?
Well, Adam, he's at a spot where we're getting to where we don't really have that answer anymore, right? You know, the answer the last couple of years was he's got great mental strength. He's focused. He's got a wonderful attitude. He's very grounded. You know, he's not a guy that's looking for stardom. He doesn't have an attitude. He just goes about his business, and every once in a while it kind of seems too robotic. That, you know, it's kind of been the read on Scottie, but you put together a season like you did last year, and you start hitting irons the way he did last year, and we're making comparisons to Tiger, which are appropriate. Then you got to start asking that question that you're asking, you know, and the answer becomes harder to find because it's not just he's an exceptional iron player. He's a better iron player, seemingly in the bigger moments. Go back to last year at the Tour Championship. If you remember, he comes up the eighth fairway and he gets near the green and he hits a shank out of a fairway bunker, you know, out of a greenside bunker. You know, just cold shank. And this is going to be the Tour Championship is going to slip away from him again. It's going to be a 7-win Player of the Year season, and he's not going to be the FedEx Cup champion again. It's going to be the third year in a row that he comes in with the lead and somebody else walks away with the trophy. You just hit the hosel on the 8th hole on Sunday. And he goes up to the 9th hole, 240 yards, par 3, just takes out a 5-iron, hits it to 4 feet, and makes it. You know, that's the X factor that Tiger had, you know, that you know, I was going to say all the greats before him had, but we're talking about the elites. You know, Jack Nicklaus had it for a snapshot. You know, Jack Nicklaus wasn't playing against fields this deep. And it's not a knock on him at all. He won 18 of these things. He won six Masters, but you know, I'm not sure he had that domination the way that Tiger had it and the way that Scottie looks like he has it. So Jack certainly did, but just because you won a major doesn't mean you had that domination, and Scottie has it. So I'm sorry, I don't have the real answer to your question because he's in the territory where we don't have those answers.
Well, I think you answered it perfectly, and that's why he's such a great bet and such a great player, because he has what you're describing, Brian, is it. And, you know, it's tough to pick against him. It's tough to bet against him. He's such a special player, and I think his demeanor in addition to his game, and it's combined, right? I mean, Scheffler is just remarkable in everything that he does. You know, I think conventional wisdom, everybody kind of wants to see Rory break through, right, and get that career Grand Slam, and we're waiting, and we're still waiting, and, you know, you look at the odds, and he's got the second best odds to win this year. Is this going to be the year that Rory finally breaks through?
I'm kind of feeling that. I mean, it's hard to say that and put it in those words, but I understand you need to. I like the question. I like how you put it. So I guess I've got to say yes, and here's why. This one hurt when he lost it. You know, had a shot 40 on the front 9 on Sunday. Well, I believe it was 2010, maybe 2011. He's in the lead here. He's in complete command. You kind of blow it on the front, but you're still leading when you get to the 10th tee, and then he starts hitting it over there and banging it off the cabins, and it comes apart. And he's a non-factor by the end of the day. 2 hours later, it's just they're not even showing his shots anymore. That's going to cripple you. That is off-course mental damage that takes a long time to get over, if ever. And you take a look at that and you put that up against what he's gone through kind of away from the course again in these last couple of years. You know, he was the face of the PGA Tour's portion of the LIV debate. He was the guy everybody thought of when the framework agreement got rolled out, and they kind of felt bad for Rory. You know, he went through. You know, there was a publicly filed for divorce that thankfully for his little daughter didn't happen, and they put all that together. But all this is happening away from the golf course and in the public eye for Rory. And what I think all that does, Adam, is that means he's not as worried about what it felt like on that 10th tee anymore. He's kind of past that.
Right.
He has won plenty of times since then. He's won 3 FedEx Cups since then. He understands what it takes to win. He's still a great player. And he also understands what failure means and that maybe that failure doesn't hurt quite as much, so it won't factor in. Does that make any sense?
Makes complete sense. And honestly, I'm rooting for him, and I think you broke it down brilliantly. And, I think there's been so much other stuff where now, he can just focus on golf. And, I'm rooting for him. I think that it's going to be his time to shine. I'm also fascinated by Xander Schauffele, who's seeking his 3rd win in past 4 major starts. He's 18-1. I always feel like he's a great play in general, specifically at Augusta, more specifically now. How do you think he's going to fare this week?
He's the great question, and I would stay away from him. I love Scotty. I love Rory this week. I really do. There's some other guys this year that have played pretty well that are probably going to be pretty good values coming in. I think Xander may wind up being a little overvalued because he's going to get a lot of credit for what was a world-class season last year, as he should. However, he played 3 weeks in a row coming into this. He took a couple of weeks off, but he played 3 weeks in a row because he had missed enough time. He wasn't super in perfect form. It's a back injury. It's all the things that bad time for it. It's all the things that golfers don't like. So, to me, I got a little asterisk next to Xander's name. He won 2 majors last year. That's a special year. We know he's got it, but I don't know that he knows he's got it. I don't know he's at full speed right now.
I love the way you answer that, and that's certainly a great way to frame it. And it certainly hits home for me in terms of trying to, tomorrow round out who I'm going to put in my top 5, top 10. So you mentioned, obviously, Scotty and Rory, and, then you have a different side of the equation on Xander. Who else do you see making a major run towards getting the green jacket, Brian, this week?
I'm starting. I really like the name Shane Lowry. Hasn't won yet this year, but he's knocked on the door. He's very much long enough. Does everything else that you need to do here right. And one thing that we haven't quite thought of, it's not that he's lacking motivation, but the British Open this year is going to be back at Royal Portrush where he won. And that's back in, it's on the island that is Ireland. It's in Northern Ireland. He's from the Republic, but, you understand what that's all about. So, for him, it's very important. Which means, he's in the gym. He's doing all the things he has to do. If there's a time to take a little moment off, get your foot off the gas pedal, that's not what's happening for Shane Lowry, and I've been seeing the results. He's been playing some great golf this year. I also love Sepp Straka. Sepp Straka got a sniff of the leaderboard. I know it was Palm Springs, and it's, kind of a fun event, but he got in front, and he was on a different rotation than everybody else, too. So a little bit of heat on him, didn't get the rotation the rest of the leaderboard was on, which means they have 3 courses out there, which means he probably played, if nobody else in that rotation was anywhere near the top, he probably played in tougher conditions than everybody else. And yet, not only did he prevail, but he walked away. So yeah, there's a couple. Sepp Straka, Shane Lowry, a couple nobody's talking about.
How about, real quick, anything on the weather or any changes to the course in general that we should be aware of, viewers should be aware of?
You're going to see far fewer trees, but as they talked about earlier in the week, a hurricane came through here. People died in Augusta. There was a lot of struggle here, and there still is. So the golf course is going to look a little different. You'll see fewer trees, but the big picture, that's not as important. It will affect some of the shots. We'll see a little more breeze out here. But the course is going to be perfect. We should have no weather issues, Adam. We should have a wonderful Masters week.
I can't wait. Brian, we'll be listening. Such a huge fan of your show, Katrek and McGinnis on Tap, Sirius XM, PGA Tour Radio. Enjoy Augusta, my friend, and we'll do it again real soon.
Thanks, Adam.
watching Make It Rain on VSiN, the sports betting network.
You want to know where the money's really going? Unlike other sources, our betting splits come straight from Circa and DraftKings Sportsbooks, giving you the insight into where the sharp action is landing. Circa is known for taking the big bets from the professional bettors, while DraftKings provides a broader market perspective. That means you're getting the real action, not just the public money, but the kind of wagers that move the old lines. See the percentage of the bets versus the percentage of the handle on every game across every single major sport, helping you make a smarter, more informed bet. Get VSiN's summer special right now. Only $59 until August the 1st. It's always summer at VSiN.com/subscribe. Welcome back, Make It Rain with Adam Schein. Time for our news, notes, nuggets, and nightly plays. Let's go. Blue Jays. We told you Blue Jays money line plus money last night. You're welcome, America. And literally this time, Canada. I told you the Blue Jays were going to take care of business, and they beat the Red Sox as predicted. Great stuff from Berrios last night on the bump. Springer's off to a hell of a start. I'm thrilled about that. You know, used to play baseball at UConn. Always wanted him as a Yankee, but, you know, then goes to Toronto. He got injured. You know, obviously a World Series hero with the Houston Astros. You know, is off to a great start, which is great for the Blue Jays. Also great for my fantasy baseball team. And we've got another game tonight with the Blue Jays and the Boston Red Sox. And honestly, I wouldn't touch this one. I think that Boston's a great candidate to bounce back. You know, you're not going to get any juice in terms of the money line of minus 205. I don't feel that good in terms of the run line, but I do expect the Boston Red Sox to get back in the win column. What's fair is fair. I didn't pick the Mets to make the playoffs, and I stand by that because of their pitching. But the New York Mets have won 4 straight games at home, and the pitching has been superb. Absolutely, positively sensational. They swept away the aforementioned Blue Jays, part of the reason why we love the Blue Jays to bounce back against Boston, and they did. Then the Mets started a series against the Miami Marlins with a win. Actually, the game is this afternoon now, 4:10 at first pitch. Bad weather in the forecast, so they moved it up. Sun is shining today where we are in New York, and it's cold, and I think that means that the Marlins bats will be the same. You know, obviously no juice on the money line, but Mets run line, you could talk me into it. I especially, you know, if you're the Marlins, it's cold, you're used to the warm weather, you are not a very good baseball team, you know you have no chance, you know, a night in New York. This has Mets victory on the run line written all over it. Dodgers lost again. No panic. No bad news, just saying, right? Dodgers did lose again. Now, Shohei Ohtani did have a monster night last night, and that to me is most certainly noteworthy when you look at it from a Dodger perspective. Shohei Ohtani 3 for 4. He was incredible, had a home run, and the Dodgers did lose. And, you know, the final score last night was 6-4. Gore pitched well. I thought there was a potential play on the under that did not hit. So even though we didn't play it, we said yesterday that was a lean, so we'll hold ourselves accountable for that one. But, you know, I do think that when you look at it from a standpoint here of the Dodgers, it's just noteworthy. That's the best way to phrase it. We're just, you know, you look at how the Giants are playing, you look at how the Padres are playing, you know, you look at the Diamondbacks and their talent, you know, I'm not going to sit here and go nuts in any way, shape, or form with regards to the Dodgers. They're still my team. They're still my team to beat. I still think they're going to be more than A-OK here, but I do think that it's at least worth a look-see when you're losing 2 out of 3 in Philly. And then obviously you see what transpired when you look at everything with Blake Snell going on the injured list. So, you know, obviously just something to clip and file and save here. Now, there was one game at 1 Eastern time that's in the books, and Boy, we talked about this on our SiriusXM radio show as the best bet. I hope you had a chance to play it. The Tigers beat the Yankees this afternoon 5-0. And, you want to talk about an ultimate guarantee on the run line. Skubal against Carrasco, not even a fair fight. And Cookie Carrasco is a great story, but he should not be in the New York Yankees rotation. So the Yankees have now come back down to earth a little bit. I mean, this is now 3 straight losses. They lost on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Pirates after taking 2 out of 3. Lose last night in the cold to the Tigers. Bats go cold today. Cody Bellinger was not in the lineup for the New York Yankees today. Why? Because he had bad wings and he had food poisoning. I mean, my goodness, bad wings? First of all, there's nothing better than good wings. Second of all, bad wings? I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, Cody, get a recommendation. Let's go. So Tigers take care of business today. Skubal looked like Skubal and shut out my New York Yankees. We are 2 weeks, 2 days away from the NFL draft. Our friend Mel Kiper Jr. just dropped his final mock draft of the season. And listen, Mel Kiper Jr., and I have followed this for quite some time, impacts the odds. He does. And Mel's mock matters. Schefter's reporting matters. Dan Jeremiah, when he drops a mock or a top 50, that most certainly matters. But I understand the power of Mel Kiper Jr., and Mel's a big fan of the show. Love Mel, known him for a long time. I think the world of him. And I give you that to give you this. Take a look at the updated odds for Shedeur Sanders. Mel Kiper Jr. had him going to the Saints at number 9. And guess who's now the favorite here to draft Shedeur Sanders? So here's what's interesting, and I want you guys in Vegas, just stay on this board for a second, right? I like betting the Saints at plus 275. And we're at a stage right now, and I think this is important here when you take a look at it. And I want to stress this. Right now, I believe that Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are going 2-3. And I get it. I think they're unbelievable prospects. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a rock star corner and receiver, probably full-time corner, and we'll get some run at wide receiver as well. I think Abdul Carter is going to be Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett. I think he's going to be sensational. So I can wrap my brain around why, at the end of the day, the Browns and the Giants will go Hunter, Carter, Carter, Hunter, in whatever order. Now, the Giants need a quarterback, right? Which is why it doesn't say where they draft Shedeur Sanders. It's which team will draft Shedeur Sanders. I could see a scenario once the Patriots are on the clock, not that the Giants are going to get up to 4, but once New England passes on them, obviously they're not drafting a quarterback. Jacksonville's not taking them. Raiders are not going to take them. Jets are not going to take them. And I really believe that. I think the Giants at plus 350 when it comes to Shedeur are still a good bet, even though I don't think it's going to be a 3. I'll give you 2 others here to monitor on Shedeur. The Steelers at plus 600. I don't think it's impossible Shedeur falls to them at 21 or Pittsburgh trades up for him. I also don't think it's impossible that Jackson Darts goes higher than you think in this draft. The other team that I would just pay attention to for Shedeur Sanders, the Rams, 10-1. I'm just saying, first rounds, if he's there, I could see the Rams looking at their board and eventually gobbling him up. Geno Smith talked to the press in Vegas yesterday. He is fired up to be a Raider. And I think that they are going to end up drafting Ashton Genty. And I think that they should. And if you look at the odds in Vegas, it's minus 130 for Genty. The only 2 plays that I would make on Genty would be Raiders minus 130, Bears plus 250. If he gets past the Raiders, I think he's a lock to be a Chicago Bear. I think the New York Rangers are cooked. And it's sad. I mean, final season for my guy Sam Rosen doing the play-by-play. So much high hopes for the Rangers before the season. They got smoked, just torched. Game was over early. 5-1 to the Lightning. I mean, you can't even bet them or pick them to make the playoffs right now. What a complete and utter letdown and embarrassment for a team that had Stanley Cup aspirations before the season. Best Bets brought to you by G-Bank, official bank of VSiN. G-Bank's up in the ante with a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First new customers spend $1,000 in eligible purchases with 90 days. From account opening, get a $250 bonus. Apply now. VSiN.com/G-Bank. VSiN.com/G-Bank. Subject to the old credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Let's go with a couple of pitching props in the same game. Paul Skeens over 6.5 strikeouts, -150. Sonny Gray, baby. It's always sunny with Sonny Gray. Over 6.5 strikeouts at -130. Those are our best bets for Make It Rain with Adam Schein for this evening. Coming up right after us, my guys, Mitch and Paulie. Oh, that is going to be a show. Follow the money. I am absolutely obsessed. Jeff Seeley's going to join them. Best bets for the Masters. Thanks to all our guys in the Vegas studios. No Sean today. He quit on us like a coward. Mike Cohen, outstanding. Talk to you mañana. Make it rain with Adam Schein.
This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology. With hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology, you'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.